What is up, Nerd Herd, IDP Army, Fantasy Football Fanatics? Jordan Rains here at 50 Shades of Drunk on Twitter with the Dynasty Nerds back again. It's been a few weeks. Going to give you all some IDP information, some IDP Fantasy Football content. Hopefully, you won your league. You came home with some gold, brought home a belt, ring, championship, all that good stuff. If not, season's now, Dynasty never sleeps. It's time to get back to work. So on today's show, going to do some stashes for you, some stashes or buys, I guess you could call them, players that you're going to be looking at this offseason that aren't the top 10 guys, aren't top 12 guys, maybe not in name value anyway, but players you're going to want to start to look at putting onto your rosters and preparing for next season. Maybe some guys that popped a little bit, maybe some guys that had career years, whatever it may be. I'm going to run through 3 or 4 of those guys here with you now on the channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you are a Nerd Herd member. Make sure you go get Dynasty GM. Good stuff's coming that away. So happy to be here. This video won't be as long as some of the other ones I've done. This offseason, going to try to, make them a little bit quicker, quick hitting, give you guys some information that you need, some actionable stuff, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Leave comments. Let me know who you'd like me to go over, talk about as we go into the upcoming year. There will be more stuff coming, a little more in depth, but I wanted to get this information out there for you all quick. All right, so obviously, in Dynasty Fantasy Football, one of the easiest ways to get ahead and stay ahead is, just to be ahead of people on players, stash players before, the hype hits, before the articles start coming out, before people really start, getting some attention in the news, maybe before, people are validated, signed off on by people that know what they're talking about, myself included, I suppose, to a degree. But we'll go ahead and start with one of my favorite offseason buys right now. It's a defensive line player you probably have never heard of until this season, but that's Trey Hendrickson from the New Orleans Saints. Trey Hendrickson finishing his fourth year in the NFL. He's 26 years old. And he had an incredible season. He was drafted by the Saints, hasn't really done a lot. This is his first season as a starter. He started 15 games. He had never started I don't think he started a single game before this year. Didn't play a monster amount of snaps on the season, 53 total defensive snaps, but that's still good. That's not elite, but that's good. And that's what you like to see. It's the most he's played in his career, so he is trending up. We all saw that Cameron Jordan fell off a little bit this year. If you paid attention to me over the past 2 years, you know that I've not been a Marcus Davenport believer. I know there's a lot of people that love him for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you if they love him. But Trey Hendrickson this year tied for second in sacks in the league with Aaron Donald, 13.5, and he missed a week. He did not play week 15. He had a neck injury. So that's definitely something you want to note. He's keeping up with the big boys. He's not playing anywhere near the big boy snaps. Second most sacks in the league behind TJ Watt, tied with Aaron Donald, who people are going to say he was a defensive player of the year. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. We'll find out soon. Other notable things about Trey Hendrickson, 25 quarterback hits this year. I believe that ties him for 7th in the league. That's a lot of quarterback hits for a guy not playing a lot of time. Into the season with 14 impact plays. You love to see that. Impact plays, in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring are going to be all the plays that are over 3 points. It's your tackles for loss. It's going to be your pass deflections, your forced fumbles. For defensive line players, I do not count sacks. So these are all plays that were not sacks and tackles. You had 14 that were high-scoring plays. So, again, on 53% of snaps, he's an impact player. One thing you do want to note about him, only 25 combined tackles this season. It's kind of a low number, but because the snaps were low, that's kind of to be expected. And again, as I said, he missed week 15 with a neck injury, but he came back in the very last week of the season. He played, he ended up getting another sack, so should be fine. So Trey Hendrickson of the New Orleans Saints, 4th-year player. With the pass rush there being questionable, I don't see why the Saints don't keep him around, don't give him a contract going into this next year. He's a player that a lot of people probably got on waiver wires, picked up late. He's not gonna cost you what he should cost you based on the production at this point in time. So he's a guy that you're gonna want to go buy. You can probably get him for a 3rd or a 4th even at this point in the season. And until we hear something about his contract or some hype, it'll probably stay around that area. The second player I want to talk to you all about is linebacker Hassan Reddick from the Arizona Cardinals, another 4th-year player for a season, 26 years old as well. he came into the league. He was a first-round pick out of Temple, I believe. He was, had a lot of hype coming out of the draft, but didn't really seem to fit when he got to Arizona. They tried to play him inside. They didn't really use him on the outside a lot. He was an okay-ish middle linebacker, nothing great, nothing to write home about. But we know he can play inside. But this year, his career took off whenever Chandler Jones went down in week 5 with that, I think it was a bicep injury. And Hassan Reddick was basically given the keys to the pass rushing castle there for the Arizona Cardinals, and he did not let the team down. Averaged 95% of the defensive snaps from week 7 on, produced 10.5 sacks from week 6 through week 16, which tied TJ Watt. So he went sack for sack with TJ Watt through the middle of the season. So if it felt like he was doing a lot, it's because he was doing a lot. Season totals ends the season with 63 combined tackles. That's huge. Anybody who plays IDP, if you can have a tackle floor as an edge rusher that hits over 50, that's awesome. He hit 63 on the season, 12.5 sacks total on the season, third behind Watt, Aaron Donald, and then Hendrickson, who I mentioned brought up just a minute ago. There are some conflicting reports on his tackles for loss. I saw some things that said he had 15, but I've also seen places on fantasy data said he had 20. He had a lot of tackles for loss. Either way, he looks like he's coming in second for tackles for loss on the season with TJ Watt. 25 total impact plays, 16 quarterback hits on the season. You'd like that to be higher. He converted almost all of those into sacks. Not great, but I think, with the production actually being there and it not being pressure related and it not being, just this, the numbers are the numbers. He did the numbers. He did the numbers in 5 less weeks than a lot of people did. Hassan Reddick seems to have found his true calling in the NFL, which is to be a pass rusher. So he's a guy that you'll probably hear people talk down about because, this or that didn't add up or they didn't see it coming. Essentially, what people are going to knock him for is they didn't see it coming. Same thing they knocked Shaq Barrett for last year. They didn't see it coming. They need to see more. Same thing they knocked Zadarius Smith for last year. Well, we didn't see it coming, so I need to see it again. If you live your life like that, that means you're going to go 2 full seasons, assuming he hits again, without a great player on your team. Don't be that guy. Buy low. If people don't believe in him, buy low. It might feel like you're buying high, but I don't think you really are. He's probably already rostered at this point in your league because of the fact that he actually continued the success. It was up and down, but it was also very continuous. Like it wasn't like it was just one peak week in the middle of the season, which he did have a monster week, but he had a lot of, reasonable weeks where he put up, 15, 16, 17 points for you. Didn't let your team down. He really went nuclear in week 14. That was the biggest defensive performance of the season in IDP 1-2-3 scoring. He set the Cardinals single game sack record. He had 5 sacks in that game. I believe he ended with 59 points overall in week 14. So that was a monster performance. So the ceiling is there for him. We know he can play inside, outside. He's versatile. So he's a guy that you're going to want to look for. Maybe he's not on the waivers. Maybe someone will drop him, though, when they're making cuts, or maybe he's someone's going to try to sell high on. I would be totally fine putting him on my team for a third, late second. That's Hassan Reddick, Arizona Cardinals. Check him out. And the third final player I really want to cover with y'all as far as stashes or buys is a defensive back who didn't play a lot because it was his rookie season. And he actually got hurt leading into the season, but that is Xavier McKinney from the New York Giants, 21 years old. Like I said, his rookie season, second safety taken in the class from Alabama. No, I'm sorry. He was the first safety taken in the class, not the second. From Alabama, 2020 draft. Missed the season, like I said, most of the season due to injury, but when he did come back in towards the end of the season, he put up some, half decent games. Not amazing games, but he was playing the full snap share. In the last 2 weeks of the season, he had 8 tackles, which was good for 15 points in week 16 against Baltimore. And then he actually closed out the season for the Giants against their rivals, the Cowboys, with an interception in the end zone of Andy Dalton. Finished that week with 23 points. So he left the season with a bang, left a little mark on him. He's a player that's going to be in that division for a while, and he looks like he's got all the skills that you're going to want. Jeremy Chin and Kyle Duggar, another guy I'll talk about in other videos. There's a few other safeties this year, Antoine Winfield, that, they were drafted early and they produced. And it's easy for a guy like Xavier McKinney, who I know I personally drafted a lot of as a rookie. And I picked him over Jeremy Chin in several drafts, Kyle Duggar in several drafts, Antoine Winfield in a lot of drafts. So the upside is there. We know if you watch his college tape, you know he can do a lot of stuff for you. And we have, 2 seasons now of high-level production from the New York Giants defensive backs. We had Logan Ryan and Jabril Peppers, who were awesome this year. And we had Jabril Peppers and Antoine Bethea last year, who were awesome. And then it even goes back further if you want to go back to when Landon Collins was with the Giants as well. So we have a history of high-level defensive back safeties playing for the Giants. We have the draft capital. We've got a guy with the pedigree. We saw him flash to end the season. It was week 17, though, so a lot of people may not have noticed it. He's probably sitting on taxi squads. He might be a cut candidate for people as we get, this year's Jacoby Myers or this year's Preston Williams coming up the draft boards. It's, you got to get all your offensive guys, all the stream defensive guys. Great. You do that. I'll stack up on awesome defensive guys, and then I won't have to mess with that stuff. So Xavier McKinney, he's a player to go look to buy. I don't want to tell you exactly what to send out for him right now because I'm still working on my exact rankings on him. But he's a player I would be happy to get with a late second probably, or especially a third. If you can get a third for a starting player like that. And I know this will probably be controversial for some people because we've entered draft pick season where draft picks are worth everything and they're worth more than anything. And I don't play fantasy like that. I'm a points over picks guy. That's one of the things I say. Maybe it works for some people, maybe it doesn't. A lot of people like to, show off their teams and show off their picks and all that. That's great. In June, July, August, wonderful. I want to win the season. I don't want to win the offseason. And winning the season means winning the offseason the right way. That means getting good players on your team. Xavier McKinney can be one of those guys for you. Go get him. Defensive back for the Giants. And yeah, that's it for this video. I was going to cover a few more guys, but I'm going to keep it short for you all today. Those are 3 players I think you should be looking to buy or stash. If they are available, go get them. Don't overpay, but these are guys that, the offseason just started, so somebody might be holding on a little tight right now. Give it a month. Give it 2 months. Watch those waiver wires. Somebody will drop them. Somebody will catch some hype, and you can move in. You can get yourself a quality dynasty piece, and you can go win a championship. So, like I said, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, go to the Dynasty Nerds website, make sure you're signed up for all of our awesome stuff, get some of the Dynasty Nerds merch, Dynasty GM tools, getting some upgrades very, very soon. Nerd Herd, appreciate you. That's all from me today. Look for some more videos on some IDP fantasy football content in the very near future. And until next time, good luck.